We're back with more of our tier ranking of all the Gen 1 Pokemon. If you've missed either of the previous videos, there should be links to them down in the pinned comment or description, so check out that and make sure you see where those are, and then come back here and see where we rank things now. Between the last video and this video, I've actually tried to shrink down all the Pokemon so that we have as much space, but also filling all of it with the Pokemon and where they are right now. So here's kind of where we're at right now, roughly. If you want to hear all of our discussions on why we put them there, we talked about those in all the last videos, and we may move some of these around once we get these last like 50 or so placed.
Okay.
So let's get into the next one. We finished off last time with Electrode, number 101. This time we're starting with 102, Execute. The most exciting Pokemon is that you're like,
Where's Arcanine?
right here.
Oh. We don't have an A?
No, we put him in B.
Why did we do that?
Well, this is when we'll go back later and figure out. We're not doing Arcanine yet. We'll go back to Arcanine.
I know, I'm sorry.
We're on Execute. There's a grass psychic-y Pokemon.
Yeah, a whole bunch of eggs that are cracked.
Yeah, and they're cute.
I
C?
don't know.
Think C tier? You thinking D tier?
I'm thinking D tier.
Just a bunch of eggs?
They're just a bunch of eggs. Like, what did they do in the anime?
They jumped around a little bit, I think, right?
And
Evolved
did what?
into Executor.
They evolved. Yeah, once they evolved, that's a whole different story.
Alright, I'm fine with D. But that leaves the question, though, of when it evolves. What do we do with that one?
Now, this Executor,
Executor, I believe.
Executor.
I've heard Executor, and I've heard Executor. So I'm like,
Well,
both could work. Because you have Execute and Executor.
He is the one that executes people.
I guess.
Executor is how I always thought of it. But anyway, this one, I like him. I liked him in the island episode.
Mm-hmm. You know, like
He's just not that
Executor
epic.
Oddish. Executor Oddish. You know about Pikachu's Vacation from the
Yeah.
Mewtwo movie? Oh, I was wondering what you were talking about. I'm like, I don't know what you mean. Well, I like it better than Execute.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if he's B tier though.
Put him in C.
I guess.
That's
Now, what is it? The Lowen one with the long necks?
Mhm,
I
and
think
it's-
that one's pretty cool.
And it's Dragon type.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
Alright, well, 104, Cubone.
Cute.
Where do we put Cubone?
I don't know. Like, your heart really goes out for him because of the lore and whatnot.
It is a sad story.
Oh.
Even the games have some sad stuff with it, right?
Yeah.
I think I'd put him in B.
Yeah. Like, it just, ugh. How could you not put him up high? You know, like, he's been through a lot already. Like, you gotta put him up higher.
Alright, how about Marowak?
Then he turns into a little butthole.
I will say I like Cubone more than I like Marowak.
I know, right?
I'd probably put Marowak in C tier,
I can see that, yeah.
I think.
He turns into a little butthole. Like, you have Cubone, your heart just really melts for him. And then he like, turns into a little punk when he evolves.
Sure.
And you're like, what just happened? Like, we were trying to treat you well. I know you've been through a lot of trauma, but...
I did use Alolan Marowak a lot more, though. I thought that one was really cool.
with the fire off of his bones.
The fire ghost rather than being a ground Pokemon. So, yeah, I think C would be good. I like Cubone more. I think Cubone has a fun design. It has a sad lore and story behind it. And I'm also, like, part of the fan theories of, like, Kangaskhan and Cubone were, like, meant to be kind of the same Pokemon, but they
Which
end up being
makes
different
sense.
Pokemon. I think that's a fun
Or
idea.
like Kangaskhan adopted the Cubone and put him in.
Well, so, like, some of the ideas is, like, that little Pokemon inside Kangaskhan.
With
If-
Timmy!
If the mother dies, he puts its head on the skull on his head. And if it doesn't, then it just becomes a Kangaskhan. It's kind of the idea.
Gotcha.
Which I think is kind of cool. Like, it had, like, a split evolution.
Mhm.
But that was before they did any split evolution stuff, you know?
True.
Like Poliwag, we talked about Poliwag eventually having Politoed, but that was later.
Yeah. Cubone and Marowak, I never really used them much in the card game. They aren't really involved in any of the other video games or anything. Just mostly know them from like the anime and, of course, playing the regular Pokemon games.
Sure.
But, like, I didn't really use them.
Yeah, I didn't either. 106, Hitmonlee.
Now, the concept of him is pretty fun.
And the name is also cool, because This and Hitmonchan having the
Jackie Chan
and Bruce Lee.
Yeah, Bruce.
To be like they're kind of like based on, right? So no, I like them a lot. They're definitely unique. They don't evolve, but they're strong fighting Pokemon.
They are, and like
somewhat anyway.
You can use them and play because like they are fairly strong as, you know, stage 1 Pokemon.
Sure, but I like them less than Machamp.
Well, yeah.
So like I'd probably go with like a B tier for Hitmonlee, and probably for Hitmonchan too.
Yeah,
honestly.
In my mind, they go hand in hand.
Now him on top is really weird and unique. I may put him in A in the future or something, but I think Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, they have a good basis, but they're above average for me.
Yeah.
Licky Tongue is a weird son of a gun.
Licking Tongue's so big. Is this Gen 1 Licking Tongue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not Licky.
Yeah, I just don't remember the circles on his knees.
Cause yeah, he only has 2 evolutions, and Licky's like really, really big and weird looking.
Right.
I don't know, I never used him. He was never like high on my list. It's got a cool design to it.
But he's stage 1 and he was a rare. And
he's not stage 1, he's just a basic Pokemon, right? Is that what you meant?
is that what stage 1 is?
There's basic, and then stage 1 and stage 2 Pokemon.
He's a basic Pokemon that you could just start off with and just play him. And he was decently tough. He had a lot of hit points.
In the card or on the...
Mm-hmm. Like...
Okay. So were you thinking like in a C tier? B tier?
I kind of liked him. Maybe C, maybe B, because he was different. Like, no other Pokemon really looks like that.
With a big tongue? What about Shelter? They both just have these tongues sticking out.
I guess.
And they both go like... Blah, 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 blah. Alright, I'm fine with C tier. At least it's unique looking, right? It may not be my favorite Pokemon, but I think a little bit more thought went into what Licky Tongue looked like than maybe Krabby. Or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like Krabby's kind of just a crab. He's a little weird crab, but Licky Tongue's... Like, I don't know what that is. I can't place it as being like, well, clearly it's a gopher.
It looks like a Squirtle with a very long tongue.
A Squirtle? Alright, how about Koffing?
Let's see.
Got a Team Rocket mascot type of Pokemon.
Yeah. I never used him much. I don't have much for him or much against him.
It's just kind of average over in C tier?
Yeah, I guess. Kind of meh.
I think that the ideas, like, I like him. I like Team Rocket with him. I like his evolution of Weezing and his Galarian form and stuff, but...
His Galarian form, that's a lot of fun.
Sure.
Like, I like how they changed it up with the smoke towers as, like, top hats.
Sure, and he's supposed to be, like, purifying the pollution, is, like, how he operates, too, so... yeah, I think Koffing in C, but maybe Weezing...
Is he B? I wouldn't...
Man, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I want him anywhere else or not, where I would put him. I think I would put him here in C.
Yeah, I know, right? We're just filling that up.
Him, and then we'll put Koffing here. And we'll just put them right next to each other, and all their pollution can be together. Alright, how about Rhydon? No, Rhyhorn. Rhyhorn. Rhydon's the next one, sorry.
I'm trying to remember his storyline.
I mean, I don't remember much. It's cool that you can ride him in some of the later Pokemon games and stuff.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's a Rhino Rock Pokemon. I think I'd probably put him in D tier. And I'd probably put Rhydon in B tier.
Okay.
As far as, like, how I like them and how well they fight and what they do. I mean, eventually you get Rhyperior.
Which is pretty good. And then, I mean, Rhyhorn is pretty good, too. Like, being able to use Earthquake and...
Both of them are ground rock types, so having them... Like, I don't know. It's not like Rhydon is much more unique in the way. It's like Slowpoke, right? You start on all fours and you get on 2 legs. A lot of Pokemon do that, right? But, I don't know. I like Rhydon more. I know I said about Persian being the ace, but more so like Persian's the pet for Giovanni. I'm pretty sure Rhydon was like his ace on like the gym battles in Gen 1. So, I don't know. I'd say B and D, but if you have other thoughts, I'm willing to move stuff.
No, I don't really have anything for or against them, so...
Okay. What about for Chansey?
I like Chansey. Chansey sounds a lot like Jancy, so we gotta like it.
Sure, it does.
And it's pink.
Chansey and Blissey, both, I think, like, it can be a support Pokemon or a defensive staller and stuff, which is cool as far as games go.
I really like it in Unite.
Mm-hmm.
That was all. I like playing Chansey in Unite.
It's also...
And the costumes for it are adorable.
It's also a Pokemon that's in the Pokemon Center to heal Pokemon, you know? So, I would put this in A tier.
Okay. I'm not against that at all. I was gonna say high B, so A, I'm okay with.
How about Tangela?
It's one of my favorites.
This one is?
I don't, just because I understand, like, it all gets tangled up.
You're just looking at, oh, it's poor hair. Is that you
I'm
there?
like, I understand, buddy. I get it.
Okay. Well, if you like Tangela, where's your... I'll let you start with where you want to put it.
I don't know. It's up there with all the other derpy Pokemon. And I really want to know what's underneath all the hair.
Right. If we gave it a baby Pokemon, I think it'd be fun to do. So you want to think B?
With all the derpy ones? Yeah.
I like Tangrowth better. I'd probably say C, but if you're saying B, I'm not against it being up in B.
Tangrowth just gets a little crazy for me.
What about Kangaskhan?
Has to be up there with Cubone, right? At least. I mean, Kangaskhan was so good in the card form because it was a basic Pokemon. You could play it right from the start, and it was so tough. It had a lot of HP at that time, and
Sure. No, I mean, it's pretty good. It's fairly strong. Its Mega Evolution made its little guy jump out, and then they had a double attack,
yeah.
which was really cool.
I really like the storyline with Timmy, the little boy that fell out of the helicopter or whatever and grew up with the Kangaskhan, and
Sure, yeah.
the crazy mom and dad trying to find it.
I'd probably say A for Kangaskhan, I think. It's definitely one of my favorites. I think it's kind of a weird, unique dinosaur and kangaroo creation.
I would not put it S tier, and I think it's higher than what we have for B, so.
Okay. How about Horsey?
Yo! I like Horsey.
Okay.
It's B tier for me, up there with Tangela, Rapidash, and Psyduck. Like, how could you not?
Alright. I'm fine with that. I was probably going to say C. I think he's okay. But I also think that...
Seadra, I think we can put in C tier. I mean, the name's already there.
I can go with that.
It just becomes like a little bit too aggressive.
I like Horsey more than Seadra, so...
Misty could carry Horsey around and everything.
Alright, so we'll put Seadra in C tier and move on a little faster, I guess, to Goldeen. This one here, yeah, I'm not... Just a fish. It wasn't my favorite.
No.
I didn't really care for it too much necessarily. I think E tier for me is where I'd probably put it. Maybe Sea King the Evolution, right? Put it in...
D?
Yeah, maybe D tier. Maybe not even. I don't know. Sea King for me also isn't like...
Maybe C for C again?
No, I meant like it's not like it really jumps up much more for me.
No.
So I'd say D.
Okay.
I'd say D or E. Probably not C.
Alright.
And if you say C or D, then we'll just put it in D. Past those fishies, we go to Staryu.
Another one of Misty's go-tos. There's not much personality that you can get from Staryu or Starmie.
Sure, I get what you mean. I mean, yeah, there's no face or anything. They just kind of have this red eye location.
I mean, just like a starfish, they have no eyes that you can see, you know, like...
I don't know if I like Staryu or Starmie more when trying to figure out.
I like Starmie more because the gym is a lot bigger.
Alright. Where do we put Staryu?
D?
I don't feel like I want to argue that, but I also feel like it's wrong. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah.
Because I said it.
Let's go with D, and then where would we put Starmie then?
C?
Like one up from it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me shrink it down a little bit. It is a much bigger gym, you're right. If only it was like a diamond. Alright, we'll put Starmie there. Yeah, C tier is filling up, but I feel like it's how it should be. I feel like E, F, A, S should be fairly light, so...
Right.
How about this guy?
Right.
Mr. Mime.
Oh, I don't even like the Galarian Or is it a low one, Mr. Mime?
Yeah, Mr. Mime, Mr. Rhyme.
Mr. Rhyme? Yeah.
I think that Mr. Mime goes to B tier.
Why?
Part of it is, like, I don't think he's a bad Pokemon.
No.
I think he's a weird Pokemon.
He's so weird.
And I loved him in Detective Pikachu. Like, what they did with him was really good with that. I liked, like, riding the bike and stuff. And I think as a creative character, I think there's a lot of fun things you can do with that.
I feel like wherever we put Mr. Mime, though, I feel like Jinx is right there with him.
No, I disagree with that. I think Jinx was worse.
I know.
And
I don't like either one of them.
So many problems with it.
Like, Mr. Mime's a lot of fun because, like, he just randomly put up glass. And then, like, you're like, oh, he's just being a mime. And you have the characters walk into it. So it was a lot of comedic relief with Mr. Mime.
So, I say B. Where do you put him?
I have no idea. He's one of those that makes my brain go, what?
Like, he's pretty good in Pokemon Unite. He was great in Detective Pikachu. Like, he's not like a bad... He wasn't my preferred Pokemon.
No, I'll let you pick this one. You're fine.
But I like him better than some others and stuff, too. How about Scyther?
All yours. You do it.
What do you mean all mine?
He's
no.
freaky. Oh!
No, you gotta tell me where you...
He's a praying mantis. He's down there with Krabby.
This is us doing it right now, right? I would say Scyther has been one of my favorites. I feel like Scyther is A, and Scissor is an S tier. Like, I feel like they improved him and made him better.
They did. Adding the metal coat and, like, yeah.
So, like, Scyther, like, I liked his speed and stuff. I liked him better than Pinsir. Like, when you're looking at, like, the different Pokemon for
100%.
bug Pokemon and stuff.
He was a basic Pokemon. You can play him, like, from the start. And, like, it's pretty powerful for...
So, if I'm going to pick a spot, I would probably pick A. Where would you put him? Put him in
That's
E?
acceptable. Ugh, he just freaks me out.
But he's so good.
I know.
All right, well, then, so where would you put him then?
I hate praying mantises, and I hate crabs, so... yeah, he'd be down there in E.
You'd put him in E?
No, he is a really good Pokemon. Like, the card was great. I was very excited whenever I got my first Scyther. He doesn't have the actual pinchies like an actual praying.
Not like Pinsir.
Oh.
Right?
So, like, I can definitely see A tier, especially with how much I used him in my deck. Like, if you look at our vintage card opening, you can see how torn up my Scyther is.
Yeah.
Because I played him a lot.
Yeah, I think one thing that we're looking at too, a lot of the A tier Pokemon end up being a lot of playable in, like, the games and in the cards and stuff, you know?
So I'm fine with him being an A tier. However, he still freaks the frick out of me.
Freaky looking, that's what he is.
Freaky.
Alright, well, how about Jinx?
There with Mr. Mime for how weird they are.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's as good.
She does not have the comedic relief.
There was controversy over it. I mean, they changed it because of that, so it's a little better there, but I don't know. I mean, similar to Mr. Mime, though, I agree. Like, this and, like, kind of the Machops and stuff, like, are they... Why these humanoid-y kind of, like, creatures? Or, you know, what exactly is Jinx?
I don't like Jinx.
Okay. I don't prefer her either. I'd say probably D. Maybe E.
She reminds me of
I don't even know if it's that.
Hamburglar with the wig on.
Sure. Where would you put Jinx?
Like, she was not really, like, down in the caves, right? That's where we saw her during the anime.
Yeah.
I don't...
She would sing, I think, and she was icy, right?
That sounds right.
I think.
So, she didn't really add much to the storyline, I don't think.
I mean, as far as the anime goes, I don't have as much of a recollection of that. So I usually look at it for, like, what I use card-wise,
I didn't use her card-wise.
Like, you could have, like, hopefully, and maybe it'd be good, maybe you do something with her as, like, a region variant, but I don't know exactly what you do, but maybe that would make it better, but...
Because now you have a baby of her.
Sure.
Which...
And no, like, nothing else for her to evolve into, which I think would make her better, but, like, what does she turn into?
I think due to the controversy and everything, they just kind of, you know, put it to the side.
I'd say E, I think, for me.
I'm fine with that. Because that's where I was going to put Mr. Mime.
But he's so cool in Detective Pikachu.
He is. There's a lot of comedic relief with Mr. Mime.
Alright, what about Electabuzz?
Electabuzz. Him and Magmar kind of are the same for me.
Yeah, I really like Elekid.
And Magby.
But I don't know.
C tier?
Maybe C tier. Like, I don't think I have him in B.
No, I don't think so either.
Could maybe put him in C, but he's getting so full.
It is, I know. That was the only deterrent that
We might need to rearrange some things. Like, Blastoise probably should be in B, really.
He really should be in B.
Alright, let's put Electabuzz in C for now, if you're good with that.
Okay.
I don't have nothing necessarily for him or against him. He's just kind of like one of those electric Pokemon that I'm like, well, alright. I could use Pikachu. Magmar, another fire Pokemon that I also am like, I'd rather use Arcanine or Ninetales. Or...
Yeah, but he was a basic Pokemon that was fairly kind of playable. I think I used him in some of my decks, but I didn't.
I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think Magmar and Electabuzz are always like next to each other in all kinds of stuff, whether it's cards or whatever, so maybe just keep them both in C tier.
Okay.
They're just kind of like, okay, Pokemon. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds good.
Number 127, Pinsir. One of the, I think, bug-catching Pokemon in the game.
Put him with Krabby.
I'm thinking at least D. Like, as far as, like, how far down. He's below average to me. Like, I don't enjoy him that much. I didn't necessarily care for him even with his Mega Evolution. Like, they should just give him an evolution. Like, they came out with Heracross.
Yeah.
I think something like that should have been like an evolution line for Pinsir, but instead it just became its own Pokemon.
No, because they did the evolution for Scyther, right? With the metal coat that you could apply, and then you created something new, and same thing with Onyx. So I thought Pinsir was also going to be added to that.
Sure.
Like, you know, way back in the day, whenever this all was going down. And then they didn't. And I'm like, that was your golden opportunity to do something with this freaky looking Pokemon.
It's freaky looking. You just don't like the freaky looking things, huh?
Ugh.
Alright, so your vote's E?
Yeah, with Krabby.
Alright, I'm fine with that. I was thinking D, but I can go with E. I would definitely prefer to have Scyther. Tauros.
Maybe just kind of biased due to, you know, like where we live. We see bulls and buffalo everywhere because everyone farms them. So it's just kind of meh for me.
I mean, my thought initially for him is probably like in a D.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like he wasn't super usable in my opinion. They changed him up in Paldea, which is cool. There's some differences for there. But even then, I still didn't really use him that much.
No, I was even thinking F tier, so you're nicer than me. Because I didn't even use them to play with. I didn't use them for Pokemon Go. I didn't use them for like...
There's some good card versions of him if you need to buy time. Because he's a normal, basic Pokemon. So it's nice to have those that are like... They're kind of strong to buy you time.
Yeah, but you have
your
Snorlax
evolution.
and Kangaskhan that you can do the same thing.
Sure,
And
yeah.
those usually have more hit points than Tauros.
Sure. Sure. I'll put him in E. I'm okay with that. I'm not putting him in F tier.
Okay.
Next up we have Magikarp.
Okay, that's F tier. F for fish.
Is he F tier?
I mean, he's got potential.
That's the thing. Magikarp is potential. That's what he's about, right?
But, I mean, that's why you say he has potentials, because he starts out so low, and then you put faith in him, and then boom.
So I think usage-wise, he's F. He
Oh,
splashes.
100%. He flails.
You can't do anything. You have to just keep swapping him out, and it's annoying, and I hate that.
He doesn't even splash, he flails, right?
But in the premise of potential and what he can be, I think he should just be the bottom of E. Where it's like, he could be worse. He could turn into something super unuseful.
I think he's F. I think Magikarp himself is F tier because there's nothing you can do. You put him as your first Pokemon, and like back whenever you cannot share XP, you had to put him as your first Pokemon
you
and swap
swapped
him
it.
out.
Yeah.
And because he would do nothing. Like, he wasn't even a stalling Pokemon. He had no attack. Like, there was nothing that he did. He flailed.
All right. He splashed. Until you ran out of splash, and then he flailed.
Ah.
All right. We'll put him F. But then he evolves, and he's really cool because he becomes Gyarados.
S tier.
S tier.
100%.
Really?
I love Gyarados.
Is this the one that you've been holding on to that you talked about?
No, there's a different one.
Still, we haven't gotten to that one yet? But do you think Gyarados is S tier?
I mean, he chases Team Rocket away. He storms them away. He's really good. He's a powerful Pokemon. I don't know.
I mean, I would
like
go with A tier, but you haven't actually stated many S tier Pokemon in your opinion. So I'm fine with putting Gyarados in S tier.
I just think, like, watching that development going from such an epic fail of a Pokemon, you couldn't even eat Magikarp because his scales are too tough.
Yeah.
And then you end up with this amazing creature that is like the god of the sea.
Flying in water.
That can learn dragon moves and, like...
Sure. Alright. We'll go with S tier. I think it's fine. Like, Venusaur and Gengar are two of my favorite Pokemon. I'm like, these guys are S tier. So, I think if you feel strongly that Gyarados belongs in S tier,
I just think that...
I think he's a good Pokemon, and I think he's been pretty good through multiple generations, you know?
And, like, he's still usable and still playable, and people still enjoy getting him. And I just love seeing the development from such opposite ends of the spectrum for one evolutionary line, you know?
Alright, Gyarados S tier. How about Lapras?
Lapras? I like Lapras a lot. Like an A tier.
I think I would go,
Because he's ice.
I would go A tier. I was debating if I would want to go S tier. But I like the design, the songs, I also enjoy that there was a story where Lapras is on the verge of extinction in Gen 1, right?
Yep.
And then through some of the time, there were people, like there's a story where a kid found that out. He looked at it, he's like, oh my gosh, Lapras is on the verge of extinction. Like, I have to breed this Pokemon. So he bred Laprases over and over and over and hatched them, and then would just release them into the wild to try to stop them from being extinct. And then later on, in later generations, the Pokedex says, due to the, power of, or the dedication of trainers, this once on the verge of extinction Pokemon is now thriving. And they took the idea that this, these trainers were like, I need to save this Pokemon. Yeah. And it's a fun way, like, Lapras has come back from the brink of extinction and stuff. And I was like, that's a cool meta
adding humanity
thing,
to it. Yeah, I really like that. I like Lapras. He was one of my favorite ones to actually open from a pack. I would get so excited whenever I'd pull a Lapras. So.
Okay, we'll go with A tier?
Yep.
Alright, we'll go with A tier and then Ditto.
You're gonna... I think he's A tier.
You think he's A tier?
Because he can be anything he wants to be.
He can. He can also just be
as long as he can perfect his smile.
He can just be used as a breed farmer.
Which is even better. Like, just as good.
Alright.
Just splooge.
A tier of Ditto.
You're not gonna argue that?
He's at least unique, I guess. Like, there's also the story of how he came to be with Mewtwo cloning and all that kind of stuff. So there's more uniqueness there than some other Pokemon with that. And then, I think some of the things they've done with cards, especially recently with Pokemon Go, where like you're catching Pokemon and sometimes they turn into Dittos. So then the cards, like you get some cards and like you have to peel it off and you find out that it is a Ditto.
That was a lot of fun, yeah.
There's some really cool things they've done with Ditto over the years and whatnot.
I like the episode whenever Team Rocket, takes the Ditto and they're like, his smile is so messed up. Why can't he act?
Yeah, well, in the anime, he turns into like people and stuff too, right? But he just has like a straight smile with just like two little dot eyes, that's it.
But the trainer's trying so hard to get him to, act properly and theatrically act. And like the big argument and then Ditto leaves and so sad. And I liked that episode and I like Ditto.
Alright, well we will stick with Ditto in A tier. Move on to Eevee. Another one of those like...
lots of potential.
Yeah, what could it be?
But Eevee... doesn't start with Splash, No. He's better than Magikarp.
I would put Eevee B tier.
I think that's fair.
I think just because like you could turn into, especially now, so many things.
Anything. It's like a whole rainbow.
Though they haven't added a new one since X and Y, so hopefully they do that. Like since Fairy came into play, they haven't added another one yet.
But then they're kind of like running out. I guess they don't have a Steel.
They don't have Steel, Ghost, Fighting, Dragon, Flying.
True.
ground, rock.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, there's a lot of things they could do, you know? Psychic? Nope, they have psychic. No,
yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, like, what they have per card, you know, versus, like, actual typings. Like, you know, because there's so many more typings than what there were back in the OG days. Versus, like, you know, just the brown fighting energies.
Well, if you're going with that, they don't have a fighting.
They don't have a
fighting. They have fighting, rock, or ground, which would be a fighting category of cards.
They have 2 psychic now because the fairy turned into psychic along with Umbreon. So you have Sylveon and Umbreon as psychic.
Espeon.
Espeon, sorry.
Umbreon's the dark type. So, I would go with B, I think. I think it's a good spot for Eevee. And then I think after it evolves, I have different thoughts on those Pokemon, right? Yeah. So, first one up is Vaporeon. What do you think of the water Pokemon?
I mean, Vaporeon's is very helpful in Pokemon Go because you can just spam that attack and it's so fast. And then you can take out the shields, which is very helpful. But other than Pokemon Go, I don't like Vaporeon.
You don't like Vaporeon? I get you. I wish, too, that the Gen 1 line would have had kind of one of those rock, paper, scissor types of evolutions, right? Like, you had your starters with, like, water, grass, fire. I kind of wish the first 3 evolutions, like, you had water strong against fire, right? And you had electric strong against water, but then you didn't really have much with, like, fire and electric.
No, if Leafeon came out.
Yeah. Like, that would have been kind of cool maybe to have, but... Vaporeon, I would put in... C?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but it's so full.
What about Jolteon?
Jolteon was really nice to have on the team, you know? Because he's an electric Pokemon, he's very fast, he could take out a lot of Pokemon, but I never was thrilled with... Like, I loved Eevee, but I didn't like his Gen 1 line.
I'd probably go D for Jolteon.
D?
Yeah.
I was going to put him C with Vaporeon.
I just like Vaporeon better. Jolteon's fast and okay, but I like Vaporeon's style a little bit more with like the way the tail is and stuff. And then my favorite of them...
But if you go to Gen 1, there's not that many electric type Pokemon. You have Electabuzz, you have Jolteon, you have Pikachu.
Oh yeah, I mean you also got like Magneton, you have Electrode, Zapdos.
But they're all lame. Like Jolteon's like the better of the electric lameness.
Okay.
Well, that's why I say C tier.
Alright. We'll do that. You're filling up my C tier.
I am. I'm sorry.
What about Flareon?
He's so fluffy.
He is. I like him the best of the 3.
But I still think...
I think it's B tier.
Really?
For Flareon.
Okay. I was going to have all 3 of them C tier. So B tier, I'm okay.
It's like Eevee's B and then it turns into anything worse?
Yep.
Alright. What about Porygon?
I think he's an interesting construct.
I guess so. But after evolutions and everything they've had with him, I still just don't use him.
I don't understand how he turned into like he starts out like this rocky type gym, right?
Yeah. Well, he's polygonal.
And then he turns into like blubber. Like
well, it smooths him out, right? The idea is like in game design, polygons are more prevalent, so you have hard angles. And then as we've gotten further along, now we've smoothened those out, so things look more like they do in real life, more curvy and stuff, rather than just being like jagged angles. So that's what he's supposed to be representing, is like data or video game creations and that kind of stuff, just electronics.
Oh, that's kind of a cool concept.
It is. And like he's been kind of okay before, but I think he's a D for me.
Yeah, he's not one that I really played with. Like, never had a purpose to put him on my teams or a purpose to put him in my deck.
Sure. And like I said, especially back in Gen 1, I never really used him with just Gen 1. Even with evolutions later on and stuff, I still don't really use him at all. So, so we got Ammonite now. I don't know where to put it.
I like the fossil Pokemon. I thought it was a cool concept. So, like, during the anime, they fall through the ground and then they accidentally stumble upon these fossil Pokemon that have never been seen within, thousands of years. And they look like our fossils,
Yeah.
So,
Which is neat. I like that idea.
and they're kind of playable. Like, I used them in my deck.
The Ammonite and Omastar?
Because he's water rock.
Yes, Water Rock.
And that's a good complement to each other to have. And
Sure.
like a rare.
I like him. I think I like Ammonite and Omastar more than I liked
Kabuto and Kabutops?
Kabuto and Kabutops, I think. But I think a lot of that had to do with I didn't care about either one necessarily before, and then because of Twitch Plays Pokemon, they kind of got new life in a way because of that.
Oh. Now, I don't like Kabuto and Kabutops because their typing combo isn't as good as the water ground.
I think they're both rock and water.
But they don't look like water rock.
Yeah, they're both made from fossils, and they're both like these water
Omnanite, I think, is B tier.
Well, one thing I want to do before we do that is we were talking about Blastoise. I think Blastoise belongs in B.
Yeah.
I think
Jigglypuff also belongs in B. If we're changing this up.
I was just trying to make some room in C tier where I'm like looking at some of these and I'm like, you know what, this one is better, I think, and this one's better. So you think Jigglypuff needs to be moved up a little bit?
Mm-hmm. I think I fought for that last time, but you said C tier.
Alright, I'll move him to B. Wigglytuff's still in D, though the more I thought about that, I was like, maybe Wigglytuff should have been in this one. But
he's tough. He's a good one.
So, but,
And then if we're moving things, Arcanine needs to be in A tier. I don't know why we said B tier.
You said B tier. You agreed.
I was just trying to be compromising.
I would need you to tell me yours so that I can tell you mine, and then we split the difference.
A for Arcanine.
Well, because we have Ninetales up there, too. But I like Ninetales better.
I like Arcanine better.
Okay. Well, if I like Ninetales and you like Arcanine, then we'll put them both in A.
Alright.
Alright, Ammonite.
B tier.
B tier?
B tier.
Okay. I only agree because of Lord Helix.
Who's Lord Helix?
Ammonite. So back when Twitch Plays Pokemon happened, they chose the Helix fossil, and that became one of their saviors, was Lord Helix. They also had, I think, Pidgeot, which was like Jesus bird or something like that. So, but there was like a whole religion that was based on Ammonite and Omastar being the Lord of the Helix because they come from the Helix fossil.
I say B tier for him as well.
I'm fine with that. I really like Ammonite and Omastar. They're just creepy little things, and I think they're pretty strong, and I like their typing too. But when it comes to Kabuto, who's also a creepy little thing,
I don't like him as much.
I don't like him as much either.
He looks like a horseshoe crab. I don't like crabs.
I'd probably put him in D tier.
Okay, cool. Same thing as Kabutops. Because he's a freaking praying mantis. He goes from a crab to a praying mantis, and I don't like it.
I'd probably put him in D tier too.
Awesome. Okay.
I would rather have, like I said, Ammonite or Omastar.
I think that's why I don't know their typing as well, because I never played with them. They are freaky looking.
Gotcha. Well, we're getting into the last really cool big ones.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Such as 143, the biggest.
My favorite.
Good old Snorlax.
He's amazing. I mean, if you want to, like, pause a game, you throw out your Snorlax, you know?
Sure.
And then you give him Snore, and then just have him heal.
You have him rest and snore so he can do damage while he's healing, and you give him, like, a...
He also has Rollout, right? And that sucks
Yeah,
sometimes.
he had all kinds of stuff that you could use. But if you don't want to get stuck in that and you can't sleep... But no, I like him. I like Snorlax. He's cool.
He's like
the baby
S-tier.
Pokemon of Munchlax I thought was really good.
And finding him in the trash can just eating all the food. You have to wake him up by finding a Pokeflute.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, because he's so big, he was blocking the bridge.
Yeah.
Like,
and then the anime's blocking the water and stuff. So, I think he's an easy A for me.
I was thinking S tier.
You think he's an S tier? All right, S for
it's
Snorlax.
freaking
That's what you're doing.
Snorlax. Look at him there. You just want to cuddle up with that.
Well, it's a beanbag. All right, how about Articuno?
Ooh.
Articuno.
So, I love these birds.
The three birds, they're cool. I like them. Of the three, my favorite is Articuno.
Really?
Yes.
I'd say A tier.
I don't know if I want. I'm tempted to say S,
But
but I'm not against A tier.
I mean, I'm okay with all of them being an S tier then, if you want to do it that way.
Excuse me?
Because go to the next one,
All right, next one up we have Zapdos.
which is flying and electric, which is amazing to fight with.
Sure, I think he's great combat-wise.
I think he looks cool. I mean, he's freaking electric. It's coming off of him. He's like complete static electricity. I think he's S tier, 100%.
You think Zapdos is S tier?
Yeah, I like the design of him. He's so pokey. He is great to battle with. He's great as a card. He's great in the games.
As fighting with and everything, I think Zapdos is really good. I just like the style of Articuno better. So
Articuno
I will
is
put
very
Zapdos
pretty.
in S tier because I'm not against. I think it's a really good Pokemon. Design-wise, I think it's fine too. I don't have any issues with how it looks or anything. I think it's a fairly cool Pokemon.
It's like Jolteon with wings. Like, it's the same, like, electric type concept.
Yeah. Like, if I needed to use one that I was going to be battling with, I'd pick Zapdos.
Yeah.
If I was going to pick one of the three as just my favorite, it's Articuno.
Articuno's so pretty. I agree with you there. That's why I'm not against him being an S tier.
Yeah.
Because he is a gorgeous bird.
Sure. If I could get rid of one, it would be Moltres.
No.
And the reason...
Even though he looks like a freaking rubber chicken.
The reason is because he looks like a rubber chicken that's on fire. There's so many different versions that you look at, and if you just take away the flames, it's just a rubber chicken.
It's a rubber chicken.
That's all it
really is.
There's so many other fire Pokemon and stuff too. I feel like I'd rather use even in Gen 1. So I would put him in D.
No, I'd put him in A.
You put him in A?
Yep.
I'll split the difference with you and I'll put him in B.
Okay. But I mean, ever since you called it out to me that he looks like a rubber chicken, like, I'd never been able to unsee it, and it is frustrating. But I still like him. Like, especially whenever he's flying through the air, you see, like, the fire streaking through, and, like...
I mean, maybe if I watched the Pokemon 2000 movie, I haven't seen that in a long time, maybe it would be like, you know what, he's pretty cool, but I mean, Zapdos and Articuno, so much better.
Yeah.
147, Dratini.
He's just a worm.
Sure. Some people said that they thought he should have been like the evolution line for Gyarados instead of that little Magikarp, which and kind of fits a little bit because when you get to Dragonite, he's really weird. But I think the style of Dratini, I think he's cute. I think the evolution line's a fun one.
It is a fun evolution line for sure.
I think I would put it in A.
Dratini himself?
I think so. I don't know. Maybe B. I think it's
Maybe
above
B.
average. I'm between A and B for Dratini. I
Whatever
think
you
Dragonair and probably Dragonite I would put in A tier at least.
That's what I was going to say. I think Dratini and Dragonair, there's like not much difference between those two.
But Dragonair is so elegant. Look at it.
It's like the same thing, but with longer ears.
Well, and it has a little gem. It's like it's gotten dressed up for the dance or something.
And I agree with you. I think that one looks a lot more elegant. And what really made me upset about this evolutionary line is then you go to Dragonite.
He's really big. Let me shrink him down there.
You go to Dragonite, and it's like you're like, oh, Dratini's cute. Dragonair, oh, getting pretty. And then you have this derpy-looking dragon with itty-bitty wings.
No, Dragonite's great. He's so strong.
He's strong.
I like his fun look to him and stuff like that.
But
his
how
design.
did we get there?
I mean, I don't know how we got there. I don't know exactly why, but I think he's at least A tier.
I think he's A tier because he was very playable, but it just made me upset because you had I'm like, where are we going? Like, Dratini, Dragonair, these are beautiful. Dragonite, what the crap? Like, we developed wings, we got 4 legs, like 4 limbs. Like,
He
what
evolved.
is going on?
He changed. I don't know.
It's just so random.
Sure, I get what you mean.
And then he's delivering mail.
That's good. Let him deliver mail, and he's been controlled by Mewtwo, so it happened. I think Dragonite I'd put in A tier.
Yeah, he's a good Pokemon. He's good to play with. He's good in, like, Pokemon Go and the Pokemon games. Like, I agree he's A tier, but how did we get there?
I don't know. Sometimes that's the Pokemon evolution. It's like, what? Why?
Not many of them are that completely off the wall. Like, what?
Sure. We're down to the last two. We know who they are. Number 150, Mewtwo.
Mewtwo.
I mean, as a kid, I thought Mewtwo was one of the coolest Pokemon. He was one of the strongest Pokemon. We only had one gen, and it was like, I am the strongest Pokemon, you know? Like, it was just a fun story with everything. I'd probably put him in S tier.
That's fair.
Like, not a lot of Pokemon have, like, story and lore. I think his legendary lore is really cool. It's tied with Ditto and Mew and all that stuff.
Right.
And he's really strong. Going in, trying to battle him in the cave and stuff in the first game was really fun. Like...
Now, my favorite part about him was what they cut out of the movie.
Sure.
Is the beginning where he's talking to Megan, I think it is.
So, it's not cut out of the movie, but it is. It's made as, like, a preamble thing.
Well, I like the preamble.
Right? So, like, it's kind of like the Pikachu's Vacation thing. I think they made both of them kind of separate, and they made the movie where it is. But it may have also been that the anime released the movie like this, and then when it came to US, they didn't do that, and then they pulled it over here.
So I like that whenever he meets Megan, or I think that's her name, and like the whole storyline of why he's doing what he's doing. And same thing with the person that's cloning. Like you get reasoning behind that, and you start crying within like the first 5 minutes.
Sure, because it's like Dr. Fiji's daughter or whatever, right, that he uses?
So like, I like that concept. And then... like, it makes Mewtwo make sense. He's not just this horrible, evil thing trying to take over the world.
Gotcha.
But I don't like him as much as...
Oh, you want the next one, huh?
Mew, because Mew's so freaking cute. I mean, look at Mew.
Mew ignores you.
He doesn't ignore you. He just has really bad ADD.
I guess, maybe.
Like, he sees something shiny and he goes, he's like a little kid. And he's just a lot of fun. And he's very powerful, but it's not like he's rubbing it in your face of, hoo-hoo, look how powerful I am.
You sound like Pooh Bear. No, I get you. But he's just kind of playing, right?
He's S tier.
His goal, is this your S tier one that you've
He's
been waiting on?
S
Is this the one you've been waiting on all the way to the end?
No, Zapdos definitely is.
Zapdos was the one? So Mew's S tier?
Zapdos and Snorlax were my S tiers.
Mew's probably my second favorite, like, mythical Pokemon.
He's just so cute. Celebi's your first?
Yeah.
Mewtwo's not?
No.
Good. I thought you were saying Mewtwo's better than Mew. And I'm like, aw, but Mew.
Well, Mewtwo's, like, one of my favorite legendaries. But then you have, like, different line of mythical legendaries. And that's Mew and Celebi and stuff. So that's where they fall. All right. I can set him there for now. Let's reevaluate who we have. And see if any of these we feel need to be moved, like we were kind of moving Blastoise and stuff a little bit, which we didn't need to add any more to C tier. So C tier is kind of, I mean, it's full. There's a lot of Pokemon there.
But I feel like that's how a bell curve should go. You know, you have your C's the fullest.
Sure, yeah. Let's see here. There's one Pokemon I kind of feel bad about that I'm seeing.
Which one?
And honestly, I think it is Charmander. And C tier, I think.
You have Charmander on C tier?
That's where he's at right now.
I see Charmeleon.
I feel like he should be in B.
With the other starters?
Maybe A. Like, because I think the first 3 starters of Pokemon were just really good. You know?
Like, whenever you think of Pokemon, you still think of the original starters.
Sure.
And Pikachu.
Yeah. And like it just their designs are really good. They were great Pokemon, I think. So those 4 being an A together I think is okay. Like Ivysaur is not my favorite of the Bulbasaur line, you know? Similar, like it's the same idea with like Charmeleon. Wartortle is a little cooler, I think, than maybe especially Charmeleon.
Charmeleon, man, he is such a punk.
Yeah. But the first 3 I like a lot, right? And then I love Venusaur. Charizard's pretty cool. Blastoise is good too. I didn't think Blastoise should have been in C the more I thought about it. I kind of think Wigglytuff maybe should be up a little higher.
I might be okay with that.
I think Wigglytuff should be maybe in C tier.
Especially since we bumped Jigglypuff
up to B tier. I think F tier I'm fine with. E tier wise, there's nothing in there necessarily that I'm looking at where I'm like, I think that doesn't belong there. Including D tier, I think too. And then like, as I'm looking at it, I'm seeing like S and A have some of my favorite Pokemon, and B has like, those are pretty cool Pokemon, but they're not quite as big of my favorites, you know? And then it moves on down the line and stuff more. So, are there anything that you see where you're like, I think this needs to be moved?
No, I'm also looking.
Okay, so are we pretty good with this then for now?
I think so.
Alright. Alright, well that, I believe, might be wrapping up our Gen 1 ranking. Here is our final kind of, I don't know, our sitting for all of the Pokemon and where we have them kind of placed, what our S tiers were. We have, I mean, the S tier are pretty good Pokemon, I think.
Yeah.
Even getting A tier has some really good Pokemon, and then I feel like, yeah, as I get down further and closer to F tier, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't care about those ones as much. Yeah, I don't like those ones as much. Yeah, I didn't use those ones as much, you know? Some kind of mixture of that. So, yeah. I had fun doing this. It's been a long time since I've tried to rank Pokemon. Maybe in the future what we can do to kind of like see if this sits well with us. There is a website where you just vote between Pokemon, so you just pick between two Pokemon, right? You're like, do you like this one better or this one better? You just keep doing that, and eventually you narrow down and it tells you what your top Pokemon are. Maybe at some point we should do that and see how that correlates with our discussion of where we place them here. Because then you'll be voting like, okay, here's Krabby and Jolteon, which one do you like better? Right? And then you have like, here's Mr. Mime and Snorlax, which one do you like better? And it keeps narrowing it down and taking them out as it goes. So if that's something that you think sounds like a fun idea, let us know and maybe we'll do that at one point in the future. But also, down in the description, let us know where you place your Pokemon, if you agree with our list, or what you think should be changed. Do you think Moltres deserves to be in B, or do you think that all the legendary birds should have been in S tier? No, that's the correct answer. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on rankings, top 10s, card openings, gameplay, all kinds of stuff. We have lots of plans that we want to do here on the channel, so make sure you subscribe. And until next time,
Feel your Pokemality.
yes.